I guess it's for parents and students, but hello parents, students I see every day. I really like to meet you all parents, but as I understand it, there's going to be, well, problems getting in here for back to school night. So in case you can't make it, in case the construction's too crazy or parking, no idea what the issues might be. Here's what I am going to go over on, August 31st. I'm Mr. Shull. I've been teaching calculus here, I think, for 18 years. I don't know. I get confused because I'm getting older and my brain's not quite there. So my mission statement is that students should pass the AP test while learning to convey ideas accurately and precisely as well as possible and be prepared for university level math classes. We're not just going to sit here and memorize a whole bunch of formulas. That would get the kids to merely pass the AP test with a 3. But without the understanding, it's unlikely that they will get a 4 or a 5. In the same vein, I really don't want the kids to do really well in high school, get to university level math classes, and realize, oh no, I kind of skipped over all of the math and don't really understand those classes I got an A in. So that's me. Plenty of you have met my wife, Mrs. Scholl. Tabitha and Evelyn are our 2 kids. Man, I always thought I knew what it was going to be like to have kids, and you love them and you'll take care of them. And man, as soon as you have kids, it's a whole different ballgame. So I completely understand, when we have meetings, when we talk about your students, how much you love and care for them. And I hope I convey how much I care and want to do a good job for your students as well. So I'm going to ask your kids to do maybe things they're not used to, write a little bit more, talk more, use their work to justify their ideas rather than, hey, just writing an answer down. And if your student buys in and does the things I ask, the things I recommend, they should have almost no problem earning a 4 or a 5. Everything that I do in here is geared towards and formatted in the style of the AP test. Now that's not to say like, day 1, you need to be perfect. It's more like day 1, I'm leaning towards where we're going and telling you the expectations and gradually increasing the expectations. So by the time we get to December, January, February, the expectations are super high. I'll be disseminating those and helping the kids change a few of their behaviors, the way they write things down, so that by the time we get there, it's not, hey, we learned all of the math and now we have to put things in the style of the AP test, but we're going to do everything all at once. So in here, we're going to stress critical reading, critical writing, logic, precise thought, and correct speech. A lot of the students, unfortunately, they're too smart. They're too busy. And so it's funny, we'll talk in class and they'll have a response, but it's full of its and theys, and they're not used to practicing the precise vocabulary. And as they practice more and use the vocabulary and all the mathematical language and lingo, their knowledge increases, their understanding increases. So at the beginning, it kind of feels like a language class too. So something I say a lot is your job is to show what you know. And I'll just read this to you. Math is a logical process. It's not just arithmetic anymore where, hey, can you add 2 and 3 and get 5? But you need to explain your work. The work should be thought of like an essay. It should need no additional explanation. Now, whether you remember high school, college, calculus, or never took it doesn't matter. When you look at this work, hopefully you think like, man, if I knew what that said, that seems very organized top to bottom. If I knew what any of that meant, maybe I could follow the work. And that's kind of what we're going for, where if you knew the material, you could look at this and would have no doubt what the student was doing as they're going. Some of the students are used to, from other classes, when they were in 7th, 8th, 9th grade, they got in the habit of, hey, I can do this in my head. And, I'm sure you can. But unless you write it on the paper, we can't judge that because it's not just about that number at the end. I'm trying to score things the way College Board is going to score them. So something that's going to come up next week as I'm recording this might have already happened by the time we get to the 31st. So this is a slide I have from previous years, and you'll notice these 2 results, the one on the left and the one on the right have the exact same result, 5/3, but one of them got there using incorrect math. So here on the left, this person, maybe you remember from algebra, multiplied by 5 divided by 5. That's, of course, multiplying by 1, no problem. The work on the right, by the way, they're both me. The work on the right magically removes this 5 out front. Now that's a trick, and in certain cases it works, but you better be able to explain why. And most of the kids just think, well, I got 5/3, hey, it totally works. And the answer is okay, but if your work is checked on the AP exam, you're not getting points on that one because you're breaking the rules of trigonometry or algebra, depending on how you look at it. So that's kind of a learning process too, very different than what the kids are used to. On my presentations, I often have these slides called common errors. It's always the same background, so it pops out. And in class, these are like, hey, here's what people last year had issues on the quiz. So, hey, be on the lookout when we go through the presentation, ask questions, make sure you understand. So here, I'm going to say the common error is your grade represents what you know and what you show you can know. So if you don't like your grade, don't tell me you want an A. Don't tell me you're not happy with a B. Let's talk about the calculus. Let's figure out where the gaps in your knowledge and understanding are, or maybe your organization. And once we fix that, then your grade is going to go up because your knowledge goes up. There's not a thing in here where you're like, oh, I have an 87%. Can you give me 30 extra worksheets to practice? Now, I can give you extra worksheets to practice to get better, but we need to make sure you can perform where you want to be on the next test or quiz. As far as grades go, homework is worth 25% of the total grade, and tests and quizzes are worth 75% of the grade. I take late work till the end of the semester because I understand your kids are super busy. They're in band, they're in choir, they're in cross country, they're in cheerleading, they're in USB, and they have all these cool things. And if other things take precedence, heck, they have a very important AP biology test. No problem. So turn the work in late, make sure you get it done. This class, more than I think most classes, builds and builds and builds on itself, where if we don't understand, let's say, the limits we're doing right now, then the derivatives are going to be very rough, and the integrals later on will be a problem, and we won't have a foundation of knowledge to build on. Then you're just memorizing, and we're back to hoping we pass. So hopefully you would agree. We don't have a ton of data yet, but I update grades very regularly. If there's a problem, the easiest way, I know for you it's super easy to email, but getting that stuff fixed over email usually takes 3 or 4 back and forth. So please try to have your kid come and talk to me, and we can figure out what happens usually in like 15 seconds in class, instead of doing the email back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. We're starting to do uploading work online, which is great. I can't lose it. The kids can upload from wherever. I don't keep grades inside of Teams. Like I'll hit return, and that just means, hey, I've seen it. So the grades, like you see in Aries right here, if there's a big blank, well, I guess yours looks different. That's, hey, there was a problem. The kid forgot to turn it in. Not really sure. But again, have the student talk to me. As far as grades go, like I said, your grade is supposed to be representing what you know, and the best we can do is a 5 on the AP test. And so if your student is earning an A right now, hey, everything's working great. Keep doing what you're doing. You don't need to change much. Your student should earn a 5. No, it's pretty early. Maybe they got lucky on the last quiz. I doubt it, but who knows? Likewise, a B predicts, hey, your kid's going to get a 4. If you're like, same as before, gosh, I'd really like to have an A, we need to fix your calculus knowledge so that you are as prepared as you should be to get a 5. That's the only way you should be getting an A. So every week, I think I've only sent one of them. Anyways, I do an analysis of all of the aggregate grades, letter grades throughout the different classes, so I can see if there are changes. For example, after a quiz, grades are going to go up and down, but if I see big major changes, especially in the negative direction, oh man, I have to adjust course. Hey, something's not right. I would never like, oh my God, they're all doing too well. I need to adjust. No, ideally, everybody gets a 5. That's been my goal for years. One of these days, we're going to get there. So how did the students do last year? 52% earned the highest score, a 5. Obviously, that's over half. That's pretty darn good. I think it should have been higher. I made some mistakes in the way that we did work last year, and I've been talking to the kids about that. 89% earned a 4 or a 5. 96.6% passed. Nobody got a 1. Every single one of those things are increases from the previous. That says 2024. That is not the right year. Anyways, those are all increases from 2025. Okay. Pretty good. There's homework. It's assigned almost every day. Sometimes it's due in not the next day, but the day after. A lot of this calculus stuff is hard. As I'm recording this, we did intermediate value theorem today, and it's hard. The goal of that homework, ideally it's, hey, you understand, but sometimes you're investigating the things presented in class. And so sometimes the kids will sit down and, hey, this doesn't look identical to what we did in class. I'll just wait a day. Well, sometimes that's the point. Like, see what you can do, come back with questions, and let's build from there. Often these things take 2, 3, 4 days because they're so difficult. Coming to class with some confusion is pretty normal because, again, it's not doing things like we did in 3rd grade where you're practicing your multiplication tables, or things you did in 5th grade where you're trying to change fractions to percents. They're a lot more in depth, so it's going to take more time. I like the kids to self-assess their work in a nice, easy way. Ask them what circles, squares, and stars mean. It's just an easy way to check. Hey, am I confident in this work? Do I need help? And that'll really jumpstart our conversations in class. So there is help that I can provide. In Microsoft Teams, there are 2 of them. Let me see if I can switch windows so I can show you. There is a calculus class and documents team, and there are PowerPoint printouts for the entire year. Now, these are all of last year's, so you can click on them. Like today, I said we were doing intermediate value theorem. And they have the presentation with all of the notes and things written on them. So that way, if the students are out with band, with choir, with, flag football's out next week, no problem. The kids can try to keep up, and then when they get back, they'll be better prepared with questions rather than, hey, can you teach this whole thing that I was gone for? No, but I'll help you with any questions. Anyways, so those are there. There are some extra credit handouts in there. We're going to get to extra credit soon. We really haven't started much. There are solutions to most of everything we've done. Like, I just made a new version of this continuity thing that hopefully the kids didn't need help with, but a lot of times they might. Okay. So like I said, those are my solutions. There are answers on other problem sets, like I'll have the conclusions, and the student's job is to fill in the results. Also in Teams are all the PowerPoints. I just showed you that. I often record videos for YouTube, so I think all of the lessons are in there. I might be missing 1 or 2. There are plenty of the homework assignments where I'll walk through part or the whole thing, like, hey, here's what you write, here's why you write it, look at this notation, which can definitely help. And then the last one's kind of tongue-in-cheek, but, you could ask questions in class. A lot of the students are a little bit nervous to ask questions in class, and lately I've been having students come in at lunch like, hey, can you slow down in class? I wasn't getting it. To me, I say, oh yeah, of course. But I'd also appreciate it if you tell me during class if I'm going too quickly. Now, the reason it says you can ask questions at lunch is, hey, that's my lunch. Now, I'm often in here, almost always, and I'll be happy to help. But I'm definitely not going to do the thing where you're going to sit silently and not ask questions in class, and then you're going to come in and take all of my lunch. Whereas if you're asking questions in class and we run out of time and you really want more help, I have all the time in the world for that. Okay. Usually there'll be extra credit. I've found that giving the students extra credit to practice the pre-calculus skills that they used to be good at and need to brush up on is a lot more effective than just telling them, hey, you should practice because you should practice. Once we get going with that, usually there are 3 to 4 extra credit assignments a week. Obviously, they're extra. Don't need to do them. The extra credit rules we'll read together in class with the students. But basically, once we get there, the students can't be missing work and do the extra credit. And you can't go backwards either. So like, if they miss it, you can't make it up. And if you do the extra credit but should have done homework or should have done missing work, you don't get the credit and you never will. But we'll get to that eventually. I appreciate you watching this whole thing. Hopefully that helps you if you can't make it. And have a great day.